Hello, beautiful badass humans. Welcome back to week 9 of the Care Deeply and Don't Give a Fuck series. It seems like doing blogs and vlogs every other week is a little more realistic for me, so I hope that feels okay to everybody out there checking these out. So I was going to do this week on going back to school and tips for that, but I think I'll save that for next week because I feel like my heart is pulling me in the direction of talking about Charlottesville and what's happening around the country right now and how it relates to our own mental health and our own trauma. And so I think, as it relates to this series, this place of holding space for caring deeply and not giving a fuck, I think that a harmful side of not giving a fuck is when we don't own and address our own privilege. If we walk around with any kind of privilege, if we walk around with class privilege, with white privilege, with male privilege, with Christian privilege, Christianity is represented well in the United States. With cisgendered privilege, that means if you have a body that matches how you identify with your gender. Straight privilege, education privilege, ability privilege, age privilege. We all have these different identities, and we are also more than our identities, but our identities in this human life matter. And I would submit that if we are not honest about if we have advantages in society and if we don't, and if we're not responsible for those, even if we didn't choose them, they are unearned privileges in being white in this country. We as white people don't ever have to worry about getting pulled over based on the color of our skin. We don't have to worry about whether or not our names put us at the bottom of the stack of a job application before anybody even ever meets us. So we have to own that, especially I want to talk about a little bit of race privilege right now, given what's going on. And I want to highlight that many times we don't look at privilege. Gosh, talking about privilege is so politically charged right now. Talking about kindness, being kind right now is so politically charged. And I want to just gently suggest that if it's uncomfortable for you to talk about privilege, or if it makes you feel threatened or defensive, that perhaps sitting with that discomfort would allow some healing, some grieving to take place, and for you to grow and expand. And when we don't look at our discomfort, when we don't look at past trauma, then we are limited, and it prevents us from giving and receiving love freely from our human beings. And that might sound very woo-woo and hippy-dippy, but giving and receiving love freely as humans is what makes us thrive, and it's what makes us the healthiest that we can be. So I want to encourage you that there's many actions that you can take. You can talk to people, talk to your children if you're parents about racism, about different privileges that they may or may not walk around with, that talk about racism, discrimination, and other kinds of oppression. Read books by and about, but most importantly, by communities of difference. If you're straight, read a book by a gay person. If you're white, read a book or an article written by, listen to communities of color and communities of difference. And then most importantly, be kind to people now more than ever is our call to open our compassion in our hearts and extend our loving kindness to our fellow human beings. So that to me is the biggest badass thing to do, is to be kind to people, to have a listening ear, talk less, listen more, and to practice compassion and kindness. So I want to encourage you to look at the discomfort, sit with the trauma if you need to, read this week's blog if you so choose, and I hope that you have a healing, badass week, my dear, beautiful humans. All right, bye.